Hey everybody, welcome to the Dom and Gabe show, your favorite show to watch morning, afternoon, evening, or night. We're two dads who just like to talk, share it with you, and join in that conversation. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and enjoy.
And we know it's your favorite because you're still watching. So today, what we plan to chat about is weekend roundup, stuff that we watched or thought about over the weekend and maybe over this past week. Any interesting thoughts or projects that we're working on. And then maybe Gabe had one surprise question idea he wanted to float. And then I thought, heck, we're both novel writers and authors. So maybe we'll talk about our latest work in progress, where it is, what it's about, what's holding us back, and why it matters to us, that sort of thing. That's a big deal with this show, is getting down to what matters and walking around why. So we're always having these conversations ourselves anyway, and we decided to share them with you. So welcome to the Dom and Gabe show. I don't know about you. I didn't have that exciting a weekend. I mean, it's snowing right now. We got 9 inches, which means it's
9 inches?
probably a Game of Thrones ice wall up in Canada. It's
Yeah.
it's dense. A little corgi actually jumped out the back door to try to go bathroom early this morning. He took like 10 steps out. He's like, he's never seen snow before. You could see the dialogue in his head.
Just ears.
What is this? Nope. And he turns around and comes back and is like, I'm not going out again. He
Yeah.
just barks at it like it's
Because he can't be more than 12 inches tall himself. Like, 14 inches.
His legs are like 4-5 inches long. They're
Ear and tail across the.
Yeah, exactly. He has to bounce like a bunny to get through it. It's so cute.
Well, that's cool.
So, on my end, nothing too dramatic. I found one kind of fun, interesting thing, but we'll start with content and media, which is kind of our jam, which is books, movies, podcasts.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read anything. I can't remember watching anything, but I did find a new game that I thought was kind of cool called
what game?
Dreamscaper.
Dreamscaper.
And yeah, Dreamscaper. And it's I think the theme is there's a character who's traumatized by some kind of medical condition that's happened in her family or daughter of somebody.
Yep.
And she enters into her dreams to explore through levels, fight things that are predating on her consciousness, fight bad guys. Yep. And then every time that she dies, she wakes up, and then she has to do some little things in the real world and then return back into the dream world to be working on her subconscious and stuff. I liked the message. The music is cool. The visuals are gorgeous. And
I can see how that piqued your interest. Yeah. I can see how it piqued interest on multiple levels. I mean, some episodes we show up with dreams, we have to. But how that incorporates that into a dynamic aspect, it sounds like it's right up your alley.
So that was fun. How about you? What'd you get up to?
Yeah, did a little bit of everything, which is not typical. I got gaming, not movies, shows, games, art, music, writing. I did it all. I think this was we kind of tried to kick off the year. We made like a bingo sheet. I don't know if we talked about this, but we made like a bingo sheet for the year. Me, my wife, and my sister-in-law, and my brother. And you put all of these different things you want to do in the new year. And as you do them, you check them off. And whoever has bingo by the end of the year, whoever gets bingo first, I think we have we get a prize. I think we get $20 or something. But one of my things was, it's funny, I kind of just barely hit each one. One was write 3 songs. And so this weekend I started writing a song.
You wrote music?
I don't, but yeah.
Okay,
well, it's a new thing. Yeah. It's I've written poems in the past.
Okay.
And figured, why don't we try and push this a little farther? And it got kicked off with my dad. He found this AI music software.
Oh yeah.
And it just he wrote a poem and just put it to music. You say
that counts.
Yeah. So, but it made me think like, what, I want to write music, like, and hopefully the goal is to play it on the guitar. That's the year end. Well, so check in from January 1 to December 31st. Hopefully that'll be accomplished. But this weekend I started writing a song. Started to. Yeah, just putting together the verses and lines and thoughts. It's such a creative way to think and get across a message. So that's been fun. And the software is cool. You kind of test it out. You throw it in, and it's like, obviously it's not like a song. It's called AI Song Generator. But the way that the voice comes across is amazing. It doesn't sound like AI. You know what I mean? So that was cool. And did test drive, made a song about for me, but also for my daughter about like basically you never have to worry about getting enough sleep. This is something we've talked about, and it's kind of a running theme in our family and something I dealt with as a kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The song is just basically just saying like you don't have to worry about that. Keep living your life. You don't have to count the hours. Yeah, yeah. It's just a fun way to like try to get that message across
Mhm.
and just kind of open my eyes again to like how powerful music is. So we had a great weekend. Just I was playing around with that, writing verses, playing with the tool, and then we on Saturday I went to a museum, which I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I found out my parents and my brother were gonna go, so like, hey, I'll just tag along with you guys, and it's a museum in state, and it's like 45 minutes away, and I got to see one of my favorite paintings there, which is and I bought a print of it, and I just so that was one of the bigger we could tie back into that later in the conversation, the whole topic of art and just creativity and how you find what art medium speaks most to you. And
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna that's the question I wrote down is because there's so many different outlets. There's books, movies, TV, songs, poems, paintings. Like, how do you find? Because I think my working theory is that everybody has a medium of art that speaks to them, and how do
Mhm.
you find which one it is? Because
That's really cool.
that's what I was thinking. 'Cause we walked to the museum, and it was funny. My mom go through. She's like, I don't get this stuff. It was all like contemporary stuff. And I was like, well, all right, well maybe that's not for you, or whatever. But then she really liked some of these porcelain flowers made in the 1700s. And so it made me think like, I wonder why like that spoke to her so
Mhm.
much more than this painting spoke to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Have you ever?
What is the painting?
The painting is, and I was gonna pull it up, and it's of course. So I'm a noob with art, so I don't ever remember the name, but it's should have brought it down. I will pull it up right now as I'm looking it up. Um, it's a painting of a image gallery in the 17 or 1800s, and the way it's portrayed is that this artist painted every single individual painting in this image gallery. Oh, can I share my screen if I find it? Or
Sure.
I could tag it as a note and somebody could look it up.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's put it in the description.
Yeah, because it is so I'm rambling on about it. I don't even remember the name. Um, I got it. There it is. It's by Giovanni Panini. I'll look it up. It's called The of Interior of a Picture Gallery with the collection of Cardinal Silvio Valentini Gonzaga. So it's basically Interior of a Picture Gallery by Giovanni Panini.
Okay,
And
can you just Slack me that
yes, I
so that
can.
I can pull it up?
Because it's just and when you look at it in real life, it is this
Mhm.
massive, massive painting.
Yeah. So what is
And
it that why is it your favorite?
I'm
What
gonna
do you love about it?
slack it to you right now. I love it because one, it is when you're looking at it in the gallery, it is breathtaking. It just
Oh my
stands out.
gosh. This is not what I
It's
was anticipating.
it is
It's
massive.
amazing.
It is huge. It is a
Okay.
massive painting. So the size of it is stunning. And then you
Wow.
look and see the intricacies of every painting within the painting are
Yeah.
incredible. And you know that this is in a picture gallery for a cardinal, and just how like all these pieces of art were curated around the world for this cardinal for his collection. And I think just there's not much emotional tied to it. I think just the sheer size and detail of it is always stunning.
Yeah, man.
Um, but yeah, I love to go walk into the gallery and just see all these. I mean, I'm not one to know the intricacies of art, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate.
Mm.
So I don't know. Have you ever gone by and there's other paintings. And I wish I wrote them down because there's some by this man called Frederick Church,
Okay.
and he is a landscape painter, and the way he paints certain landscapes are just amazing. And you can see there's one it's actually his interpretation of the first settlers going from Plymouth to Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And just the scene, it doesn't even look like it's, from this country. It looks like another time because obviously it was, but like it's just so breathtaking, and just this, it's like showing like the start of a promising new future in this new land. Um,
Well, we'll have to put that in the show notes as
I
well.
will, yeah, I'll have
Um,
the notes, but. Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever? So my question: have you ever gone to a museum and found any piece of art that stood out to you? What kind of art stands out to you? Is it paintings, sculptures?
What a great. I've never really thought about it. I mean, visual art because I'm in branding and design as a marketer, so visual things are a big deal. Um, I used to spend hundreds, or not used to, probably continue to spend hundreds of hours going through Wikimedia Commons, looking at primarily religious art because I'm always trying to find art to illustrate stuff. So I'm always staring and studying and trying to find a specific kind of art. Um, but I'm not doing it like you're describing in a museum. So there's like not just a museum or an art gallery, putting yourself in a state of reverence and like openness to what something might actually have to communicate.
Yeah,
I've objectified art in that sense way too much, and it so as visual as I am, um, I can't really think of an actual painting. I mean, music hits a lot of us, and I routinely find music is something that um, chills or thrills me or can like there's
yeah,
one piece of oh gosh, what is this music? I don't even remember. It's at the top of my liked, Spotify liked
yeah,
playlist and stuff. But I there's like you've talked about with music, there's a specific magic or a something there. There's a it it's a different it's a different language, right? So you've seen what's the movie Arrival, right? Where
yeah,
these
yeah.
this is the aliens show up
Hmm.
and they try to communicate with us, but they're like not just from another dimension, their language is from another dimension. So throughout the entire process of the movie, as we learn to speak their language, we then start to rewire, and the main character, she starts to change as her articulation and understanding of the world starts to change,
Yeah,
and not just in a sort of inside your head sort of way. It actually changes her relationship to time because their language is uh, it functions differently, right? I remember
yeah,
watching that and thinking, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible." Um, this is how sacred scripture is. Like when people come to read sacred scripture, you start to think and operate um, at a level, at a more meta level that's not less real,
yeah.
as it's as real, more deeply real. That sort of thing. Those kind of phrases people would say, and I say, and I'm like, I'm not sure we know what I'm talking about. It sounds like
What do you
say, all right. But one thing I found is that the more that I try to pay attention to music, like the moments when I'm actually paying attention to it, not just like
Yeah,
immersed in it and just sort of it's breathing over me, I begin to realize this is a language, and this is a way of communicating that does not use words and stories and sentences, but it's maybe like stories and symbolism through
yeah,
um, like not just sheer emotive motion. I don't even know how to talk about it. Anyhow, I don't That's a hard question. I've not
well,
thought about it.
and
So music would be a kind of a, and then, but for me, it's a very specific kind of music,
yeah,
which is why Spotify says, "Hey, you're the score core, guy for like 5 years in a row," because it's all game music and it's
yeah.
orchestral and it's like, maybe there's a whole lot of
And
Celtic chill out
you
stuff.
know what helped? I mean, yeah, for that, specifically for music, we were
Mm,
talking about, I started just recently learning how to play guitar. And I remember watching this guy on YouTube and saying, when you listen to songs now that have guitar, isolate the song and just hear the guitarist. And you could appreciate, as a, learning guitar, you could appreciate what they're playing and how they're keeping tempo. But then I
mhm,
took that further. Now, when you listen to a song, especially with lyrics, you could try and say, okay, isolate each element of the song. Isolate the guitarist and picture him playing or her playing the song and how they're strumming, how they're hitting each chord. And then listen to the drums. How is each drum being hit? The intensity, the
mhm,
softness. And you kind of listen to it in a different way, each part purposely. And then when you listen to the lyrics of a song, listen to each line like a purposeful brushstroke.
mhm,
And that's so I was watching this, guy speak about music, but then I took that also to art. You kind of look at, the entirety of the picture and be like, wow, this is a beautiful picture in its entirety.
mhm, mhm,
But then you look down further, you see each, and you kind of, well, this is tricky though. I think you kind of have to give the artist a lot of what's or appreciate everything the artist did as intentional. That's what we're putting it. And assume, there we go. Assume intention for everything. So when you're looking at a painting of a landscape, it's beautiful, but like everything in that picture was purposely chosen to be depicted in the way it was depicted. And what I mean by that, if you see I'm looking at a picture, painting by Frederick Church of a mountain, a tree, and a sunset. Well, he could have depicted that scene from any angle, at any time of day, with any shading, with any weather. And so I don't know. I was trying to like dive in deep, and even like we were in the room with a Jackson Pollock, which is the guy who splatted paint all over the. And you think, okay, you have that first line of like, I could do that. Well, two things. One, you didn't. Two, what is being said with everything that he did? And you know that if you can look deeper and know that Jackson Pollock, for example, is a true like what's it called, like a classically trained artist who can paint anything but chose to do this. I don't know. So what I'm getting is I'm speaking not from like I'm not an art appreciation buff. I didn't go to college for art history or anything. Just kind of a noob to the world. But if we were to look at any sort of art deeper than just the face value, what would we appreciate?
Yeah, especially when there's a history of demonstrated excellence with that artist. There's a line from Flannery O'Connor that struck me. So I was trying to craft an ebook years back to make sense of what I thought about how to be a Catholic author, right? Because I liked a whole lot of fiction.
Yeah.
None of it was welcome or accepted or something inside my faith community at the time. And so I went and read a bunch of what she had to say about the role of an author and, being Catholic and or religious at all and stuff. And one of the points that she made was that artist, how do I say this? Art of any sort requires or demands or expects a level of proficiency from the receiver, from the viewer as well.
Yeah.
Especially when an artist has cultivated themselves and their craft and their skill and their message to a point where when they go to share something, they're doing it at a high level. An average, person just walking in and looking at that and then dismissing it because they have not trained themselves to be able to see what is there to see. So there's a requirement that an artist is requiring or asking for from the audience to be able to understand what it is they're communicating or what is possibly there. I think that, like anything, that can be sort of hijacked, which is what we've seen with a lot of very ridiculous art. And that's a whole nother question. I'm curious, like you mentioned Jackson Pollock. I don't know anything about him except for the fact that seems like he's a hallmark name for expressionist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. Yes.
So if you said he's classically trained, do you have a sense why he did make that choice? Like
No, I was the only thing I didn't look too much into him. In the museum there was a little card, next to the painting. You read a little bit about that exact thing, and the only thing that it said, which I thought was cool, is that in this one painting he did, I don't know what it was called. I think it was called like number 9. He wanted to express the emotion felt during that time of his life, on the painting. And that's all it was to it. Like, and it just, if there was another Jackson Pollock that you could, and it gave you a little, that's where it said like, he's been classically trained, yada, yada, yada. But that's what stood out, is like, okay, what, and also I think, again, this is all, I don't really know too much, but he was in a time of art where that was new, or at least not yet fully established. And so it's like, to present that as something when everybody else is doing, polished work, I think that also stands out as well. Like to say like, hey, like this is also something. And everybody's like, oh, I didn't even think you could even, who knew you could even do that? Like, I didn't think you could just splash paint on. And then other people tried to do it, but they're not in the museum. That's what's funny. Like, anybody could splash paint on a piece of paper, but they're not in museums. And that's what always draw me curiosity. Why is his? And I don't know. I don't have a full theory other than I don't know. I don't know why. Like, so we had that conversation as we left the museum. Like, we did appreciate it, but why does certain art stand out as art? Museum art.
Well, I don't know either, but
Yeah.
here's a stab at it.
Yeah.
What is the point of a museum, right? It's a storehouse of things that a culture deems is valuable,
Mhm.
perhaps beautiful, perhaps it communicates something important, and we want to preserve that. And for better or for ill, I have no real opinion yet.
Yeah.
The culture or art connoisseurs or billionaires or whoever have decided this specific creator is valuable, and therefore the museum goes, well, for posterity, everybody loves him, you know. So
Yeah.
there might be informed choices for some, and for others, it's just like, hey, Guinness World Book of Records stuff. Like he's the most, interesting,
Yeah.
abstract, whatever. I have some very cynical opinions on a whole lot of modern, like not just modern art, but
Yeah.
development of art and stuff, because it's a topic that matters a lot
Yep.
to me. But we don't need to get into that.
No, yeah.
I'm interested to keep talking about this theme of being an expert, because I saw a video just yesterday that really got me thinking, and it actually has to do with AI and generated content and experts. And so this one guy was talking about how right now, I think he said something like, is it maybe 10 or 15% of the internet is AI generated stuff,
Wow.
right? Um, and it already kind of feels like a lot.
Yeah.
And his point was, according to some whatever studies, it's going to easily get up past 60%.
Makes
And
sense.
now the funny thing was, for his video, he's like, this is a good thing. This is awesome for people who are experts. And here's why. And he goes into explaining why. And I thought, okay, I got to listen to this, because I like what AI can do. I like how it can be used. I use it almost daily to help with my
Mhm.
workflow, for inspiration, for a
Yeah.
brainstorming buddy,
Yep.
to speed up processes and stuff.
Same.
But but I also know how it can, what's the word? Well, it can be used badly. And his point was, what's going to happen in the very near future is what happened with the early days of the internet. So remember when everybody came online and then everybody thought, oh, I can like be a celebrity. I can hack SEO. I
Yeah.
can use black hat tactics, and I can like put slop on my website and stuff it with
Yeah.
keywords, and the search engines will like
Yep.
put me in front of everybody and I will win. And the millions of websites and people who did that and who put junk out on the internet. Well, what happened? The cream of the crop rose to the top. So
Mhm.
actual experts who had real stories to share, real life experience, real things that were real, that could actually be helpful to people, they emerged. Those YouTube channels rose to the top. Those blogs rose to the top, and then they endured. And then as the search engines, got smarter intentionally, to weed
Yeah.
through the garbage and identify the actually helpful stuff, well, the internet is a little more helpful now. It's routinely getting better. This is why they had to throw AI into the mix to start helping clear out the garbage, because we're all trying to game the system. But the intention is to actually, you know, serve up helpful stuff. And of course, I'm
Mhm.
being maximally
No,
generous
yes.
here with
Yep.
everybody's goodwill.
Yeah.
So his point is like, well, AI is now creating this new thing where people who have no expertise and who want to game the system are going to use AI, to create a whole ton of content and put it out and write books and create faceless shows or whatever to
Yeah.
stuff their blogs. And the problem is, though, not the problem, the opportunity is they cannot endure, they cannot last, because they themselves have none of the discipline and have none of the credibility and have
Gotcha.
not done
Okay.
any of the work to actually become that expert. And as soon as anything happens that falls outside of what they can spit out with an AI, or if the AI provides wrong information that they have no ability to know is wrong, or something like this, or off or correct, well, then they're going to crash, and then they're going to fall away, and they're going to
Gotcha.
get demoted. So all of this slop is going to do exactly what it has ever always done. You've got your cynics, you've got your, undisciplined people trying to hack the system and get to market as fast as
Yeah.
possible. The experts who just, you keep plugging along, keep being helpful,
Mhm.
keep doing the thing that matters, that's important and valuable to you.
Yeah.
And that kind of content will emerge. And I'm going to sort of add my own layer of hope on top of it. There's a massive reason why they've generated these AI filtering tools, is to
Mhm.
give people exactly that. Because if people are getting slop that's not helpful, and they'll
Yeah.
stop, for example, stop using Google. Whereas if
Mhm.
they get stuff that they stick around, they actually read, it's, real personal stories, real personal connections.
Yeah.
I remember I saw this quote: the day that generative art landed, an artist tweeted or something like this and said, overnight, real art has become a luxury item.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I like that line of
Yeah.
thinking. Okay, I
Think
know it's
about
going to take
that.
us a couple of years to get out of this stupid honeymoon phase with how bad
Yeah.
we're using this silly tech, and
Yeah.
how silly we're doing it. But real content creators are like going to become a luxury item.
I
Real
get
people who
okay.
get this stuff.
Yes. That's true. Well, I was just thinking about, yeah, going back to the art in the museum, like how even though like so it's funny how AI is finding its place in the world, we'll say like that. And I like how the experts, because there's you cannot um get the human effect of a written novel, or when a human writes it, and or a painting painted. Like there's still gonna be that appeal, and it's funny how there is that now, the shift towards the was it the analog, not analog shift, but like the more like tactile, real world of like you still like Fiverr. There's still so many people I want you to hire you to pay to paint something because there's that human element. I don't know, and again, I think it could probably get very close in the coming years and get very, but it won't ever, this is from my opinion, it won't ever trump a human touch. And especially I was thinking, for my novel
Mhm.
or our novels, and how the thing is in an AI system, a software can understand a lot of inputs. However, it can't fully push forward the emotional effects that a human can feel. And what I mean, like, so like I'm thinking about even my novel. I'm sure you could speak about your novels written in short stories. Like the whole storyline, sure, can be pieced together and hobcobbled together in AI. But my character, how I'm writing him, and every decision he makes, and every thought he makes, and everything he says, it's all coming from a core thing that at this moment in our lives, I don't think AI can reproduce, because it can't experience what I've experienced in the way I've experienced it. Even if I give it every single input that I could, rattle off, like let's say to a therapist, I'll give it every single input, it still can't reciprocate
Mhm.
the way, at least that's what I'm believing. Like it can't.
Yeah. No, this is a conversation to come back and keep having about AI, because
Yeah,
it's a big deal. It's going to keep being a big deal.
it
And
is. Yeah,
I mean, we continue to use it. I use it personally
yeah,
to for all sorts of reasons. It's phenomenal for helping with productivity. And I think maybe a good metaphor. It's like in our family, what we opted to do largely for health reasons was we had to go 100% organic. Or okay, 99%, occasional
sure. Yeah,
splurge,
yeah, yeah.
but organic foods, and like it's crushing on your monthly bills. But we're healthier. We eat better.
There's a difference, though. Yeah,
There's a massive difference, and so it's like this difference between organic food, for example, and GMO food, right? And it's just not as nutritious. It doesn't have as much life in it. Doesn't have as
yeah.
much. It's not as healthy for you. I don't know if you ever saw the show. I cannot remember the name of the show. Franco James? No. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. What's the name of the actor who plays? He's in Spider-Man, and
Tom Holland, Tommy McGuire.
no, no, yeah, the Tobey Maguire.
Okay,
He becomes the
Venom.
oh man, I'm having a great morning. Hold on, getting there. He is Spider-Man's friend who goes and dates his girlfriend. He's
Oh,
Harry
yes,
Osborn. It's that
yes,
actor. What's
yes,
his name?
yes.
Frank? Something?
Um,
Franco?
yes, yeah, but I can't remember the first name. James Franco.
That's what I thought too. And it's like, no way, it's that easy.
Dave,
James.
his brother.
Yeah, it is. And so he does this time travel movie. It's called, hold on, 11/22/63. I can never
Okay,
remember
yeah,
that. Where he goes back in time to the 60s, and it's all about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And
that's
there's this
right. Okay, yeah.
hilarious moment where he walks into this little uh oh gosh, what is it? It's not a tavern. My fantasy novels on my mind. He walks into not a deli. It's a
Diner, a dive.
diner. Thank you.
Yeah.
He walks into a diner and he orders a piece of pie and like a glass of coffee or something, or a cup of coffee. And his reaction is hilarious because that's like, you know, a lot closer to real food back.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is just, it's so good.
Well, that's coffee.
Yeah.
We had a conversation on coffee, and just recently, I've been drinking Folgers. Shout out to a name right now. But it's cheap and it's easy. But we had a conversation about coffee, and I was like, you know what? I had a friend of mine whose father like sources out coffee beans and roasts them themselves. I've had a bag of it. Or not, I have a bag of it, and that's it's like been sitting on the shelf forever. I have a bag of it. I said, why don't I just grind it up and drink that? And, I'm not like saying it's, like the cure to whatever, but it's noticeably different. One, the
Really? How?
taste, like,
Yeah.
well, one, the taste, obviously, it's just a
Okay.
fuller, better taste. But two, I don't know. And again, I try not to make, claims of anything. However, the one cup of that coffee felt better than
Mhm.
2 cups of Folgers. Now, here's other parameters. I did two other things. I also had the cup of coffee later in the day and after breakfast.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a mixture of things, but it got me on this thing of like, what can I have that's quality versus quantity? So,
Mhm.
for coffee, yes, Folgers is cheaper and I get more of it, but how much better would it be if I spent, you know, $20 more per bag, but had less of it? So
Mhm.
if you're talking about cost, I'm still paying basically the same amount because my goal is
Mhm.
to have less. I'd rather have less good coffee than more,
Mhm.
run of the mill stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was this weekend too. I switched and I'm having a cup of this morning and it's
Okay.
just so much better.
Nice.
So I'm trying to think about other areas of my life. I know we got chickens. We're hopefully getting eggs soon, so farm fresh
Oh, that's
eggs.
cool.
Um, but that's set me on a track to do things of quality, and especially our food. I mean, that's a conversation we could have in depth. We've been talking about food, me and my wife, um, trying to be healthier, less additives, just a richer, fuller meal, um, throughout the day.
Mhm.
But that is on
You
our
know,
minds.
yeah, it's something I saw a reel um where a lady was talking about oh gosh, these are spices and a bunch of them are some of them are Indian anyhow, but
Yeah.
these are really awesome for your gut and stuff like that. And so it was like four things, which is it? It was turmeric, ginger, um, black pepper, and cinnamon. And I put all of those, and then I went and I add honey as well because
Yeah, give it a little something.
honey is like really good for you. And then a dash of apple cider vinegar, and then you add hot water, and so it's like a tea.
Yeah.
And she was recommending it in the video because it's apparently really good for like helping melt your belly fat.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I need that. I've got this middle tire here that I probably shouldn't complain about, but I do. And so I started drinking that. I drink that in the mornings. It's actually really quite pleasant to
Oh,
drink.
good.
Cider vinegar, like when it's hot, has a
Yeah.
bite to it, and they're all very
Exactly.
warming, and
Mhm.
it's really good for your circulation and it's good for your gut. Also, notice my appetite has now decreased.
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
want or need as much food as I used to.
And so it's an every
Um,
morning drink,
well, I'm drinking
or it
it every
could be.
morning.
Okay.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just, I mean, it's good to drink. I know that turmeric is like phenomenal for, I think, inflammation.
Mm,
Black pepper is like really good for, well, again, circulation. And so there's a bunch of like very good health benefits to
yeah.
them. And cider vinegar is like better than confession for everything.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
anyhow,
like that.
that's just been interesting. I'm like, huh, I'm actually fine having a much smaller plate of food. Like I used to like have these
Mhm.
massive bowls of food and then just feel like heavy.
Yeah.
I don't need to feel heavy. I actually have just a little bit of an edge of energy to actually do more things like in the mornings. I'm gonna keep testing this and see where it goes.
I
So
would love, yeah, I mean, you send me I wrote down I missed, I think, the last ingredient, but, I would like to try that.
yeah,
It's
it's
on this.
turmeric, ginger, black pepper, and cinnamon. Now the reel that I saw, she's like, maybe slicing it in like the actual, you know, not herbs. What are they called? The actual roots and stuff. Where I'm just doing powdered
Gotcha.
stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's what I have. So okay. Anyhow, so this is random. We could maybe someday talk about food and come back, talk about our coffee routines. I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
fun. Friends, if you think that would be interesting, drop a comment and let us know what you think. And maybe I can make my coffee recommendation about what I'm drinking every day.
Yeah.
So, I actually want to share something. It felt like a little bit of a win yesterday for me. Yesterday morning, I was I got up early and I got distracted or derailed from my normal morning routine because I left my computer open. And as soon as I looked at the computer, I had left up the tab from the night before, which was trying to find a tool that would create virtual backgrounds for meetings, called.
Yeah. Yep.
And as soon as I saw that, my brain was like, I'll just take like 5 minutes. I want to go and investigate.
Just gonna dive in real quick.
2 hours later, tested 4 different tools, and I'm like, I'm not happy with anything.
Yeah.
And and then after breakfast, I was a little bit demotivated because I didn't find an answer or the answer that I wanted. And so I pulled up YouTube and had some creators talking motivational stuff while I was playing Counter-Strike.
Nice.
And then this one guy said this one thing. I had to stop the game and end up getting voted off because I didn't come back. And what he said was, you have to basically condition yourself to do something. You have to train yourself. As a little example, I remember seeing a Reddit thread where a girl would click a pen. Every time she would feel something happy or something nice would happen to her, she would click a pen.
That's interesting.
And then it's just people like, you're weird. Why are you doing this? And then so she's in class, she hears something nice. And so she double clicks the pen. And then when she has a happy thought or something nice happens, she double clicks the pen. And then the person writing the thing realized, oh my gosh, she is Pavloving herself. She is creating a connection between that and,
every time she wants
dopamine. So when she's feeling bad like this, and then the body goes, I know what I'm supposed to do.
I feel happy now.
And so,
that's genius. I love that.
But, it's so smart. And then what struck me was, this is hilarious because I've done this to myself. When I go to write a novel, I will spend sometimes hours finding the right piece of music so that I can Pavlov myself into writing that novel. And I will listen to that music until I don't hear it anymore while I'm writing whatever chapter. Now, there are some pieces of music I cannot listen to because I will get completely choked up and the emotions will flood back in and I will want to get immersed back in that story.
So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why am I saying that? Because what he's saying in his video is, if you're not careful, if you're a creator who wants to create and be a YouTuber, that was the context.
Okay.
If you don't go and create a video about when you have the energy, the interest to do it, then what are you doing? You are conditioning yourself to be interested and have an idea and then do nothing.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you will keep getting stuck in that loop because you will, without realizing, unintentionally, you will be conditioning yourself to not create, to love and be interested and then just defuse.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought, I need to do something. I need to just prove myself. And so then one of the little examples or recommendations he made was, what if you made a video, like as you're inspired or as you have an idea, what if you make a video for the person who's one day behind you, who's 2 steps behind you in the journey?
Yeah.
Don't make a video to convince everybody else. Make the video for you 2 days ago. And if you knew what you knew now then,
that's what I like.
What would happen? And so I thought, okay, I know in a month I'm going to forget all the research that I just did on these 4 video background tools.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. So what if I just record this partly for myself, describe why each tool works and doesn't work, and then just put it out there, and maybe it's helpful, maybe nothing happens. It's not about the success. It's about the fact that I had an idea, executed it, maybe I did it badly, doesn't matter, and I shipped it.
That's like
a little 10-minute video.
Yeah.
So
it was good. I watched it. I watched this morning. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'm watching everything. But that's so good because there's 2 things. I didn't even think about, like, conditioning myself to do that. I'm a chronic project starter or even idea haver and not even get to the project. But I was just recently reading this book and we talked about it a little. It's The Anxious Perfectionist. And it's not so much about the anxiety, it's more about the perfectionist side and how that kind of toys with things. But one thing about perfectionism is perfectionists, you have 2 different flavors, if you will. The perfectionist that has everything in organized A to Z, mint, the desk is impeccable, you have everything is perfect. The perfectionist side is the overachiever perfectionist, which means everything is done to a perfect standard, but it's like a high churnout, which is good, but also could lead to burnout. Then you have the other perfectionist side where the perfectionist standard is so great that they have a hard time starting anything. And actually, there's a perfectionist side that's very messy. And it's so funny. I always thought of myself like, I am a perfectionist. And if you looked at any desk that I've ever worked at in any job, It's always neat, it's clean, I get things done. But then at home, I'm more of like an Einstein where things are kind of everywhere. And it's not, I'm not saying that in a romantic sense, I'm saying that in a disorderly sense. And I thought I've conditioned, talking about conditioning, but also the perfectionist, I don't even want to start it because I don't know the clear, quick execution to do that.
Mm.
And if we get past that hill and just be like, just get it and get it done, which, and I kind of learned from you, we've talked about it in different ways, get it done and ship it. Basically, when we were writing, write the book. When you're finished reviewing it, the chapter, I mean, move on to the next one. It's done. Versus, that's why my book has been on standstill for over a year. I keep revising chapter one. And I got into that habit. I'm like, no, keep going back, keep going back, keep going back. But I've only gained momentum in these past couple weeks after talking with you. Say, when it's done, move on to the next one. Because it's edited. You did it. Move on. And now I'm actually starting to gain momentum because it's that age old thought of, was done is better than perfect, or kind of like whatever that is. And I'm trying to get into that
Don't
zone.
let the perfect be the enemy of the
That,
good.
yes.
Good enough.
Yeah. And so I like that the two thoughts of conditioning myself to have an idea and do nothing about it, which is hardcore, like my life to this moment. And two, letting this perfectionistic standard always halt me from even pursuing anything. It's like, because it's like, if I don't know the clear answer, I won't even start it. But get past it and be like, just start. If you fail, you fail, which is not a easy concept for me to digest. So that's the work in progress for this year.
Yeah, that's semi-random. It was a Chinese guy was talking about the difference in Asian cultures and business success versus the West, and he's like, in Asian cultures, children are trained from early ages to be absolutely successful in their education and their studies, and failure is not an option, and so on and so on. And they go on to make businesses. It can be absolutely brutal for them because they have no space for failure. And
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, it's like, that's just Tuesday.
That's the name of the game. Yeah.
You know? But then when you do become a behemoth, because failure is not an option, like these guys become juggernauts of success and so on. And he's like, it's so completely different to like the West, where your fail cycle, you're failing forward constantly, and you're able to succeed a whole lot faster. And that whole process happens a whole lot faster. There's more of a resilience. And I thought, oh, that's such an interesting, you mentioned it is on the table. And I just thought, this is just so funny. I used to work for a homeschool program, and I used to have a desk, and I always thought, oh, it's such a nice thing. If I've got a desk at an office, I'll have a little candy jar. And every time somebody would come to visit, I would always have chocolates or candy in there.
Ready to go. Yeah. Very welcoming.
I liked being that kind of sort of thing. And it was always funny because every time there was like school break or like an average weekend, like if I had a box of Oreos in that thing, because it's a homeschool program, everybody's got kids. And sometimes parents, would come to do a little extra work on the weekend. They would bring their kids, and the kids would just run feral around the thing in the warehouse. And everybody knew, hey, that guy's always got the goods,
Yeah.
his desk. So I
he does.
office on Mondays, and the Oreo pack is totally like
Gone.
And all the candy jars like emptied out. And it's like, well, I guess it went to a good cause. So let's wrap a little bit. We'll talk about, you mentioned your novel.
Yes.
What is the novel that you've been working on?
Yeah,
obviously you've spent ages in it. So what would be the 10,000-foot view of it? Why does it matter to you?
That's a good question. And it's funny. I will have a quick answer. And the quick side note is that I watched a video of an author talking about his book. It's his fifth book. It says, I don't know why, but I can never. He's like, I know exactly what it's about. I know all the characters and every intricacy. I know the plot. He's like, but I cannot say what it is about. And it was just so funny. And so hearing an author say it, that was kind of nice to see. But I've struggled with that. But mine it's called The Hunt for the Black Wolf. And it is a story of my kind of, I think a lot of first novels possibly are about the author. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems to be. It's about myself going through a time of discovering self and overcoming fear to do what is needed in a time. And so this main character goes through an adventure, and he's aiming for a goal that he thinks is what is going to solve everything, this status as hunter. But through this adventure of loss and, death, he finds his path is in a different way, and it's actually more fulfilling than what he originally thought. So I've been working on that, and it's been kind of self-healing through writing this,
Yeah.
and the mile marker I'm at now, it is done. I'm in the editing phase, and the goal is to get it done by before February 1st, to be published and ready on Amazon before February 1st, because I turn 30 then. And so my goal is to have a book published before 30. If it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, but that is the goal. I think I could do it. I'm just gonna kind of push through. I got the cover done. The cover art is ready. I just have to assemble the interior, and finish the editing. But I'm really excited to get that done, and hopefully that'll kick off the year with that kind of initiative.
That's awesome. When are we meeting in Denver for like the team?
February 6th. So it should be done by then.
So you
If I
could
can have
leave
a copy, oh, how sweet would that be?
we could wave that around on camera together and
But
know we did it.
oh, we'd be in the same room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We'd
right.
be
Yeah,
that's true. I
that'll
didn't
be
think about
fun.
that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That is a wild thing to think about, how we've known each other for almost 2 years now and have not been in the same room.
Has it already been that long? That's insane.
Yeah, it's coming up on 2 years.
Why is it called the Black Wolf? I've got this, what's the
Yes.
Protestant pastor Graham something, I forget. And he has this metaphor, the story that he created of the two wolves, the white wolf and the black wolf and stuff. Is that connected to this at all, or is
Sort of. Well, maybe not sort of. I just said that because it's the good and evil. So I chose Black Wolf because I'm a lover of like just fantasy novels and old, and wolf is always the target. And I like this idea that this is the target of his whole endeavor, that this is his sole focus, the Black Wolf. He thinks that's the thing. He thinks the Black Wolf is his entire beast and enemy, and that's the one thing that's in front of him, between him and success. And so I like the idea of a black wolf. A wolf is, it's a bit mysterious, a bit predatory, it's elusive, it's dangerous, and so I liked that. And the black wolf, I like kind of calling it out like a spade is a spade, and so I just make it the black wolf. It's just like the ominous thing that he's chasing. So that's what I thought with that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I'm excited. Yeah, that's the goal. If man, that you give me even more of a passion to get the copy in my hand, so when I'm in Denver, I'd be like, here you go.
Oh, that would be fun. Maybe I can get a signed copy from you. You should get like a poster, put it on the wall behind you.
Oh, that'd be good.
Print one off with Printify. I don't have it here. I printed off a poster for There Be Dragons, which was an anthology
So good.
that we did, and
Yeah.
stuck it up on the wall, and it's just so cool to see. All right. For me, I have the novel that I'm working on right now. It's kind of funny. You mentioned, like, the first novel that you write is kind of an icebreaker out of yourself,
Yeah.
into the world. And the first novel I ever actually wrote was back when I was 13, and in a way, it was so long ago that I don't exactly count that anymore. That was me then. Now this is me now. It's like sort of restarting. This would be, I think, almost the second novel that I'm writing now as a grown up. Where last year I wrote it's kind of a grim fantasy adventure story. It's like going back to Neverland, but mixed in with Hunger Games. And I got all the way to the climax, and then I had a job change, and then lost the ability to focus on that story. It's like almost done, and it would probably have to be a trilogy. It's like 120,000 words or something. So
Beautiful.
So it's almost done. I need to find that space in me to get back to finishing it. But while that's just sort of sitting there, this other novel that I've been working on, and I started it last Christmas, and I've been picking it back up and chipping away at it over the last month now. I used to have a little Christmas tree that would sit on my desk, and it would have these little Christmas mice wearing like Christmas clothes, and one of them held this massive Christmas key, and I don't know what it is about me. There's this thing where I love mice characters, and I have numerous novels that I want to write with mice in them.
Yeah.
And I remember I wish to create some kind of a mouse-themed story about Christmas, but I don't know what it is. So last Christmas, ChatGPT and I sat down together, and we just brainstormed, where could this go? And I ended up creating a novel idea that I completely did not expect, and I absolutely fell in love with. And so I wrote 8 chapters like last year. I'm now maybe 14 or something chapters into it. And it's shaping up to be really, really fun. So why does it matter to me? It's all about the theme of Christmas. It's like Christmas is my favorite feast. Christmas is for everyone. And it's the sense that we, each of us, become the point of Christmas is so that we, each of us, become Christmas to each other. The genius or the charism of what Christmas is, symbolized in Santa Claus, is something that we presence in ourselves to then bring to others. And so that's the underlying theme of the story. And so it's all about this adventure of these little mice who a snowman shows up and bangs on their door and calls them to a Christmas quest, but he doesn't have a mouth, and so they have to go figure out what is it he's saying.
So good.
And as they leave Wendelford, which is this tiny little town that they sort of live in, as they leave this sort of safe thing that they've never known, they go out into the wilds and they discover this. It's like a monastery, and that's where the quest is sort of revealed to them. And they have to. This is why she's being called, and the name of the book is called Merry and Bright so far. And it's literally taken off of may your days be merry and bright. I thought, that sounds like two characters. And so Miriam is Merry, his name is Bright.
Oh, that's fun.
So
Hey,
I've got a cover generated. I've got like art created for it. Like it's just, and I also turned it into like, it could be like a computer game. Or
oh, that's fun.
Something like that. Like, what would that be like, as a way to, that's actually one thing that I found. Maybe we can come back and talk about this sometime. When creating a novel, I find it's also fun. Like, if this was a computer game like Skyrim that you could play, how would that work? And I did it really intensively for the last novel, and it unlocked a ton of surprising, interesting kind of ideas for creating a story arena independent of the characters.
You have to be more immersive and think of it going through and like, what would they be tackling? That's so good.
And multiple people working through things. And then you go and you dial into like, here's what one character does as they play through or scrub through a specific story. It's a fun mental exercise.
if you can get that done by next Christmas, that'd be a fun Christmas read.
That's the plan. That's I want to read it aloud on this channel. I'll read the whole thing aloud. And this I'll put a virtual background maybe.
Get some coffee. Anything with a cup of coffee, I bet.
Okay. Coffee's good with everything. Okay, friends, this was fun. Thanks for joining us, Gabe. This was always cool. Now we're going to head into work. But if you have questions, friends, on any point for any of the things that we've talked about, drop them in the comments. We'll bring it up next week. It was actually so cool. The number of people, like we didn't really share this in any big way, but a couple of people who did watch it and go, I remember one person who said, hey, this conversation was actually more fun than I realized. I had it up while I was playing a game. It's like, well,
we'll share with someone else. Yeah.
So it's been fun. We'll be back next week. As you have thoughts or ideas, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, be awesome.
See you next time.